Hi, I'm Mark Gaylor, Sony Alpha Ambassador, and in this series of short video tutorials we're going to deep dive into Sony's new menus that we see on cameras such as the A7 IV and the Alpha 1. So without much further ado, let's get started. Let's take a look at the color tone settings. Now we'll find these on the Exposure Color tab, page 6. We'll start by looking at the D range optimizer. That's the dynamic range optimizer. It is on by default. And what the dynamic range optimizer is doing is it's lightening very dark shadows, but it is only applied to JPEGs and also the movie files if we're not using picture profiles. Now some RAW shooters might want to switch the dynamic range optimizer off. Otherwise the RAW files always look a little bit darker, especially in the shadows, compared to what we're looking at on the camera. I actually prefer to leave dynamic range optimizer on and just start with the shadows slider raised to +50 or 60 so that it more closely matches what we're recording in the camera. The advantage of leaving the dynamic range optimizer on in the camera is also that the view in the viewfinder and on the monitor doesn't look excessively contrasty. You can go in and raise the dynamic range optimizer to certain higher settings than the auto would normally do. So that is another option if you're a JPEG or you're using this to lighten the shadows of movie files as you're recording them. Okay, let's move down to creative look. Now the creative look is on the standard setting by default, but even with any of these settings, like we have portrait or neutral below this one, you can come in and fine-tune the presets. So you've got control over the contrast, highlights, shadows, fade, saturation, sharpness, sharpness range, and clarity. You don't have to guess at what these are doing because you will see the effects of any of your adjustments in the monitor and also in the viewfinder. So, but again, these are only applied to the JPEGs and not applied to RAW shooters. It doesn't mean to say that for RAW shooters you can ignore these, because you might want to fine-tune the view that you're using on the monitor and in the finder. Okay, so one of the great things about using these presets for RAW shooters is you can apply, say, a black and white creative look, so to help you compose the lights and darks or shadows and highlights in your image, knowing that the color will still be there in the raw file if you want to, but it may help you compose that shot. I would for instance go into that black and white and raise the contrast very high, because I do like high contrast black and white. And then what it will happen is as I'm viewing my colorful scene, I can pre-visualize that final look in the black and white. As I get the image into my RAW editor, however, I'll have to do that black and white conversion, but it does help me compose the image. Okay, so let's take a look at some movie settings now, and it's the picture profiles. Now the picture profiles again are not applied to RAW files, and these picture profiles are very much for shooting movies, not really stills. Okay, so once we go into the picture profiles, and we can cycle through 11 different picture profiles. Now number 11 is possibly the most popular one at the moment because it is the new Cinetone picture profile. So if you're wondering which one you should use, maybe just start with the PP11. Now you will get for the maximum dynamic range, there are the S-Log profiles, S-Log2 on PP7 and S-Log3. Now these do create a very flat grey looking video file, and you sort of have to restore the punch or dynamic range in post-production using lookup tables to help you to get to that final outcome. Now if you are going to use one of those S-Log profiles, PP7 or PP8, then I would highly recommend that you shoot in the 10-bit for movies, not the 8-bit, because they do take quite a lot of aggressive post-production editing to restore the contrast to those files. One of the things that also, if you are using those S-Log profiles, you may also want to go over to the Gamma Display Assist. That's in the yellow setup menu, page 7, and switch that to on, because you probably won't want to be looking at a very grey flat view on the monitor and the viewfinder. You want to look at pre-visualize how it will finally be edited rather than how it's being recorded. So that Gamma Display Assist does help with this. If you found this information useful, head over to patreon.com/Mark Gaylor. I'm offering an Alpha Creative Skills support channel where you can download a 500-page camera-specific ebook, and I've covered most of the late model Alpha cameras. You'll also be able to download a camset file if you own one of the later model Alphas. You'll be able to set up your entire camera with just a single file copied to a memory card. I also offer additional ebooks for people to download to help them master the skills of creative photography, and also a range of 1-hour seminars that look at the using the camera gear to the best effect, and also to build up your skills of photography in general. So head over to patreon.com/Mark Gaylor.